Well, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you like everything. Make sure you do all of that.
Yeah.
Make sure you subscribe, like, share, do all of that. But what I keep getting from you all is the solutions, right? And so the problem in terms of solutions is that my solutions aren't typically what you think they're going to be. My solutions aren't what you think they're going to be. Like, I gave you all a solution in terms of open borders, right? I said that's one of my solutions. Open borders doesn't benefit black people, so stop doing that. But it's almost like some people can't hear that as a solution. Like, you can't hear that as a solution. So the problem becomes it's just like, I don't know if some of you watched that show Westworld, where it's like you can only hear what they're supposed to hear, these sort of android people. They can't hear everything. And so that's kind of what I come up against. So what I want you to think about in terms of solutions, I have another solution, but I don't know whether or not that's going to be a solution that people can digest either. It's not that I don't have solutions. It's just that some of you are incapable of digesting the solutions as I present them. Okay, so here's the thing. Here's the thing. In terms of let's go with the first. Let's go with the first solution. Let's go with the first thing. Is that stop clock up? Let's go with the first thing. Okay. Here, in terms of how we frame it, and I want you to really just think about this. I want you to just think about this because I like to frame things when I'm having a conversation with you. I really like to just frame it in a way that you can understand and everybody can understand. So when you look at the predicament of black people, of African Americans, descendants of slaves in this country, one of the questions that we should all ask each other is this: how did we get here? And how do we continue to being taken advantage of? The answer that I get to that a lot is, well, we get taken advantage of because, we don't do for self and we don't do our own business and stuff like that. Well, I've shown you data to show that there's only a small amount of money. We own nearly no resources, and we're 13% of the population. So that's not the solution. And that's not how we get taken advantage of by not doing that. How we get taken advantage of is something very different. How we get taken advantage of is something very, very different. This is how we get taken advantage of. We get taken advantage of because, I was having a conversation with somebody this morning and a friend of mine, and the way we get taken advantage of is because the people who take advantage of us, we're talking about capital holders. Those people know us better than we know ourselves. They know what we need in terms of our psychology, and they manipulate that to fit themselves. That's what they do. They manipulate who they are and who we are and what we need to make money for themselves. And that's how it works. And I want you to think about how we got Obama, right? You see how we got Obama? We could not assess who Obama was as an individual, as a politician, his history, his timeline, his marriage, his family. His politics. We could not assess any of that because we were so in need of validation. We were so in need of a symbol. We were so in need of vindication. Like, yes, I want to see a black family that looks nice in the White House. Yes, I want to see a black man who loves his wife. Yes, I want to see beautiful black kids in the White House. I need something to validate myself. So that's what took us out of it. That took us out of it, and it rendered us basically children. And we're supposed to be grown people. And politics is for grown people. It's not for children. And so when we were doing that, but you got to understand the people that put Obama in place or set him up to be that guy, even though he really wasn't that guy, the people who did that, you have to understand what they were doing. They were understanding what are the needs, what are the psychological needs of the black community. What does the black community need in terms of who they are, right? What do we need? And so what they decide is that we need the same thing we always need. We need validation. We need vindication. And so they give us that. You can look at it at another level.
Well, they also gave us Al Green.
Yeah, they also gave us, you can look at it at another level, right? You can look at that at another level. Let's think about it differently. Let's think about it very differently. You don't have to think about it like that. You don't have to think about it like that. You can think about it in terms of, well, let's think about it. Let's think about something very different. Let's think about something very, very different. If you're talking about, let's talk about Ponzi schemes, and let's talk about how many people do you know who have gotten involved in an MLM scheme or pyramid scheme?
Herbalife?
Whether it's Herbalife, whether it's I don't want to get, all of these other things, and, even though Herbalife was allowed to continue in California by Kamala Harris. But even if you look at those things, you have to say, what is the problem in terms of how capital takes advantage of us? How does capital always take advantage of black people? How do capital holders who are white, because I don't even need to say white capital holders, because there are only a few, Nigeria and a few other places, and we have a couple here. There are only a few black real capital holders. But how do capital holders take advantage of black people? And here's my solution. And I'm going to tell you, they take advantage of us because we're desperate. We're a desperate group of people who are aspirational, who are just wildly aspirational. That's who we are. We are the embodiments of this wild aspiration. That's how we live life. So you have to understand what that means. People are going to take advantage of that. So one of my solutions is that we have to stop being so desperate. That's how we get Obama. That's how we get involved in all these schemes and scams. And that's how we get in a position to where we can't assess anything, because we're desperate. When you're desperate, you can't assess anything. If you're hungry and you need to feed your family, you will hurt somebody. You will kill somebody, because that's where you are psychologically. So you have to, in your mind, you have to stop being so desperate, because being desperate makes us a pawn. And I think that's something, that we have to think about. Think about, why is it that Obama oversaw the greatest transfer of wealth to the top 1% 8 years that anybody's ever seen, and we as black people who are on the bottom economically are not upset about that? We should be outraged. We should have been outraged long ago. But the reason we're not, in terms of Obama sending all of this money and wealth and resources to the 1%, the reason we're not outraged about that is because we are caught up in symbolism, and the symbolism derives from desperation. We've talked about symbolism a lot, but we don't talk about where that symbolism comes from. That symbolism comes from desperation. That's where it comes from. We are desperate to be seen, be viewed by everybody, even our peers. We're desperate to dress a certain way for our peers, or to look a certain way, or have a certain car. We are wild aspiration. And I don't think you're in a position to do something, in a position to do anything to make change, until you move out of that position. And so that's why I put that out there, whether it's the lottery, all of these things, because let me tell you something. Here's the thing. And I'm going to try to put it into an example, that kind of makes sense. When you see black people, I know that the majority, because of the data, I know that the majority of black people are working class black people. I know that. Poor and working class black people. That's just the data. The data tells me what our life looks like. That's the data. I never meet those people, though. I've never met a poor black person, for the most part. I meet people who tell me that they're just temporarily assigned to that space and that they're en route to somewhere else. I meet black people who are like, no. What you're seeing here isn't real. I'm on the road to being rich. So don't pay any attention to what's going on right here, because I will be a millionaire soon. That is what we see. And let me tell you the problem with that. The problem with that is that you don't accept your lot in life and fight for a better lot in life, because you believe things are going to be different. Yes. That's sort of a delusion. That is a delusion. In order to change your community, like if you live in the ghetto, you got to know that you live in the ghetto. If you live in a lower class community, you got to know that you live in a lower class community. And if you want to change that community, the first thing that you need to do is accept it.
You got to give up these.
Yeah, the first thing you need to do is accept, this is my lot in life right now. Now, how do I change that lot in life? Okay, maybe I need to organize so that I don't have dirty water. Maybe I need to go to this meeting in the town hall or whatever and challenge my lawmakers. Maybe these are things that I need to do. Maybe I need to understand and stop telling myself lies like, we understand now that going to college doesn't close the racial wealth gap. I'm not telling you not to go, but understand, have your expectations calibrated. We know that working full time doesn't close the wealth gap. I understand that you got to work, but have yourself calibrated to the real life of this thing. You can't organize against something if you don't know where you are. If you don't know what you're operating from, you cannot do anything. You have to understand where you are and who you are. People, black poor people seem to act like they're on vacation in the ghetto, or on vacation, like I'm gonna be gone soon. No, get these people to fix this. Push your lawmakers to fix this, because the ghettos were intentional. That's what you need to work on. Understand that this is where I am and this is not right. I'm in this space right now and it's not right that I'm in this space right now. And I had to navigate from this space. And that means taking my lawmakers to task on what's happening to me now, on how I'm being forced to live, on the water I'm being forced to drink, on the resources I don't have. I mean, you can even see it with charter schools. You know, you can mention the study. You can even see it in charter schools in terms of part of the reason black people so like charter schools is not because they think charter schools are necessarily better. There's data that shows that that's not true. That charter schools typically don't do any better and sometimes worse than public schools. But black people seem to well, my kid wears a uniform to school. So I feel like my kid is going to private school, and I like the way that makes me feel because I'm desperate to be out of this position. I'm desperate to see myself as something different than what I am. Yeah. You know, so that there's a great study, you know, by Demos and Bloomberg, which if you look it up, which talks about, it's on Bloomberg Business Week, and it talks about this in detail about what doesn't close the wealth gap. You know, Sandy Darity talked about that when I played the clips on here before. If you can go back and look it up about all the actions that don't close the wealth gap. You have to understand this data and you have to digest it. I don't think many of us understand that. I just don't see it in terms of my interactions.
No, I think we both understand it and don't want to admit it. It's deeper than that. Like, they know, they can read numbers. Like, black people can read numbers. We understand it. We just don't want to admit it. And that's something deeper than I don't even know if I want it. I don't even know what that is.
I mean, I think because what do you have? Like, if these facts are true, then you're faced with the reality that everything that you've been taught has been a lie. Right. Because this was my whole life. I grew up with Cosby. I grew up with all of that. And I grew up being told that as long as you do these things, you will excel, and you won't have to even look back. And you find out that these things are not true. You find out these things. So you have to totally reorient yourself and anchor yourself in something real. What I'm trying to tell you is that you have to start anchoring yourself in reality. You can't ask me about a solution if you have not anchored yourself in something that's real.
What about a corkboard? Is that corkboard real? Oprah said, I just put my dream on a corkboard.
I mean, when you think about it, the whole thing is just magic. Like, Oprah's asking you to believe in magic. That's what she's basically. And like, if I put up a dream board and my stuff is what she's asking you to do is believe in magic. And magic isn't real.
Right.
Magic isn't real. That's not how it works. And that's another thing to keep us anchored in a place that's not reality. You have to know you're not on vacation, you know, in the neighborhood that you live in. That's your life. It doesn't, and what you have to do is change your life from there. That doesn't mean you don't work hard and hopefully try to get out of that neighborhood, but that means that your life, how you act isn't anchored from that space. You don't go around acting like a multimillionaire when you make $40,000 a year. You act like a person who makes $40,000 a year, and you do politics like somebody who makes $40,000 a year.
Yes.
You don't do politics like somebody who makes $1 million when you make $40,000 a year. I've had crazy people tell me, well, I don't want to raise taxes because one day I'm gonna be a millionaire and I won't want to pay it either. No, that's living from aspiration. You cannot live from aspiration. That is an ineffective way to do politics. And that's why we're politically neutralized. Because we believe that if we do these things, then we're going to be out of here soon. Why should I care about where I live and my community? If I'm going to be gone soon, it doesn't matter. No, you have to know that even if I don't care how long you're going to be there. You don't know how long you're going to be there. I don't know. But however long you're there, you react from that space. Do you think rich people say, well, you know, I might be poor one day, so I don't, you know, I want to pay a lot of taxes? No, they operate from the space of, I'm rich right now and I don't want to pay it. I don't want to do it. And we have to do the opposite. Well, you know what? You got all this stuff. So you got to do it. You got to pay for it. All this research and development that went into you making money, you got to pay for it. Okay, so you know, our aspirations have been managed and created by people who don't have our best interest at mind. You have to think about that. When you say I want $10 million, that's not even you saying that. Because think about it, most black people don't really want $10 million. I mean, what do you want to do? You really want to be secure. Like, what do you really want to drive a Bentley? Have you ever driven a Bentley? To make yourself know that you really want a Bentley? Like, have you ever driven a Bentley and made yourself, like, you really don't, your aspirations have been defined by someone who does not have your best interest at heart, someone who is opposed to you and wants your life to be crap. So that Always trying to feed you something or tell you something else that you need or make you want something else or do something else. You know, that's what they do. That's part of the game. That's part of the scam. And the role of rich black people is to get in your face and be like, yes, you do want this. See me in this Maserati. Have you ever driven in a Maserati? Like, how do you know? Like, why do I don't want to be. I don't want to drive 200 miles an hour. I don't want to go 150. So your whole life is built around all of this aspiration that really, in terms of you, and if you really just look at yourself and be like, what do I want? What do I want? I mean, no, not what I see on TV in terms of what defines me, but what do I want for my family? What do I want for my life? And I think if you be honest about that, one of the things that you really want is just to be secure. I want to have my family. I want to have enough to eat. I want to have enough to drink. I want clean water. I want good schools. I want to be able to laugh. I want to be able to take vacations and enjoy my family. Maybe I don't want to be able to work so hard all the time. I want to come home sometimes I want to come home after 6 or 7 hours as opposed to come home after 9 or 10. Maybe those are things I want. What do you think?
In a secure community.
In a secure community.
You want everybody in the community just to be secure.
Yeah, that's what you want. That's what you want. So what I would say in terms of where we are, stop being so desperate. And because people take advantage of our desperation and they take advantage of our desires, stop being so desperate. We can't be there. And be honest about what you want and need in your life. Don't look to these people who are used to social engineer life in terms of, but look to ask yourself in your quiet moments, ask yourself what you want. So that's all I want. I really want to hear the comments though. I want to hear the comments.
Ask people to share.
And make sure you share. Make sure you all share this video. Make sure you share it with your friends. Make sure you subscribe. I want you to do all of that. Make sure if you into Twitter, tweet it too. And remember, you can always go to donatebrown.com, make a donation, subscribe to Brown, subscribe to my mailing list, because I don't want to just have to go through Facebook or YouTube to reach you, because we never know when any of those are going to go away. And you can always go to breakingbrown.com and make a recurring donation on the side panel. And I just really want to be able to see like what you all are gonna say about that. So I appreciate everybody.